The Academy's orientation hall buzzed with nervous energy as hundreds of cadets from across the galaxy gathered for their first day. Tom Reynolds sat in the back corner, trying to make himself invisible among the towering forms of his alien classmates. His human physiology made him one of the smallest beings in the room, though he'd learned long ago that size wasn't everything. The Draxan cadets clustered near the front, their chitinous exoskeletons gleaming under the artificial lights. Commander Vex, a veteran of 3 interstellar wars, stood at the podium addressing the new recruits. The massive reptilian's scarred hide and 4 arms marked him as one of the galaxy's most feared warriors. "Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy." Vex's voice boomed through the hall. "You represent the finest specimens from warrior races across known space. Each of you has earned your place through strength, cunning, and the legacy of your people's combat prowess." Tom shifted uncomfortably. Earth had only recently joined the Galactic Federation, and humans were still considered a curiosity rather than a threat. His acceptance letter had come with a note explaining that the Academy welcomed diversity, even from developing species. During the first week, Tom kept his head down during combat training. The Corvin cadets moved with predatory grace, their natural armor deflecting practice rounds that would have hospitalized lesser beings. The Thane warriors demonstrated their ability to regenerate lost limbs during sparring matches. Even the diminutive Plix showed off their natural toxin production, leaving training dummies smoking and corroded. Tom's performance seemed unremarkable by comparison. He scored adequately on written exams, performed well enough in physical challenges, and followed orders without complaint. His instructors noted his persistence, but marked him as limited potential. In their reports, the turning point came during a routine training exercise in the Academy's environmental simulation chamber. The scenario involved navigating a hostile jungle planet while avoiding the indigenous predators. Most cadets approached the challenge with typical warrior mentality, charging through obstacles with brute force or sophisticated biological adaptations. Tom took a different approach. He observed the ecosystem first, noting the predator behavior patterns and territorial markers. While his classmates crashed through undergrowth, Tom moved silently, reading the subtle signs that indicated danger. He identified which plants were poisonous, which sounds meant safety, and how to mask his scent from the hunting creatures. The simulation was designed to last 6 hours. Tom completed it in 3, emerging unscathed, while several of his more physically imposing classmates required medical attention for injuries sustained during their encounters with the artificial predators. Instructor Grath, a seasoned Corvon warrior, pulled Tom aside after the exercise. "How did you move through that terrain without triggering a single threat response?" Tom shrugged. "I grew up on Earth. We had to learn to coexist with dangerous wildlife. You watch, you listen, you adapt." Grath's 4 eyes narrowed. Earth was classified as a developing world. Your species was marked as non-threatening. "We're not threatening," Tom replied. "We're just persistent." Word of Tom's performance spread quickly through the Academy. During the next survival exercise, other cadets began watching his techniques. They noticed how he could predict weather patterns by reading cloud formations, how he found water sources in seemingly barren landscapes, and how he could remain motionless for hours while tracking prey. The revelation came during a particularly challenging scenario designed to test combat readiness. The simulation placed cadets in a war-torn city where they needed to complete objectives while avoiding enemy patrols. The artificial enemies were programmed to be faster, stronger, and better armed than the cadets. Most species approached the challenge with their natural advantages. The Draxans relied on their armor and strength. The Corvin used their stealth and speed. The Thane employed their regenerative abilities to power through damage. Tom did something else entirely. He studied the enemy patrol patterns for hours, mapping their routes and timing their movements. He identified their weaknesses, their blind spots, and their behavioral triggers. Then he began hunting them. The simulation monitors watched in fascination. As Tom systematically eliminated enemy units using improvised weapons and environmental hazards, he turned the enemy's own tactics against them, using their aggression to lead them into traps. He moved through the urban environment like a ghost, striking without warning and disappearing before retaliation was possible. By the end of the exercise, Tom had neutralized more enemy units than any other cadet, despite being physically outmatched by every opponent. The reviewing officers struggled to understand how someone from a peaceful species had demonstrated such effective combat instincts. Commander Vex called Tom to his office the following day. The massive reptilian studied the human with new interest, his predatory instincts finally recognizing something he'd initially missed. "Tell me about your homeworld," Vex commanded. Tom described Earth's ecosystems, the variety of apex predators, the constant environmental challenges, and the evolutionary pressures that had shaped humanity. He explained how humans had survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, and competition with creatures far more physically powerful than themselves. "We didn't evolve to be the strongest or the fastest," Tom explained. "We evolved to be the most adaptable. We learned to hunt everything, to survive anywhere, to outlast anything." Vex's expression changed as understanding dawned. "Your species doesn't produce warriors. You are warriors. Every one of you." The Academy's perception of Tom shifted dramatically. Instructors began studying his techniques, analyzing how he approached problems differently than other species. They realized that humans didn't just fight, they turned everything into a weapon, every environment into an advantage, every challenge into an opportunity. During advanced tactical training, Tom's squad began deferring to his strategic insights. When facing superior forces, other cadets would retreat or charge according to their species' nature. Tom would find the third option, the solution that turned disadvantages into strengths. The other cadets started calling him the Quiet One, but the nickname carried respect rather than dismissal. They'd learned that when Tom spoke, his words carried weight. When he moved, it was with purpose. When he fought, it was with an intensity that seemed to come from somewhere deep and primal. By graduation, Tom had earned top marks in tactical assessment and survival training. His combat scores weren't the highest, but his strategic thinking had revolutionized how the Academy approached warfare education. Several alien military advisors had requested copies of his training methodologies. As Tom received his commission, Commander Vex approached him with a final observation. "I've fought across the galaxy," the veteran warrior said. "I've faced the most dangerous predators known to science. But I've never encountered anything quite like humanity. You don't just survive, you thrive. You don't just adapt, you dominate. And you do it all with that quiet persistence that makes other species forget how dangerous you really are." Tom smiled slightly. "We're just cadets from a Deathworld, sir. We do what we must." The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one that doesn't look like a predator at all.